Morning, everybody. Morning, evening, wherever you are. How are you doing today? We're going to talk about inflation in the United States. And doesn't really matter if you're awake, you're asleep, where you work, where you live. If you're in the United States, this is going to affect you. So, inflation has just come in low, lower than normal. It came in lower than estimates, not lower than normal. That's a bad statement. Lower than estimates. So, we're going to go over to some sources here. We got Meet Kevin talking about it early in the morning, and we also got some signs that the Canadian housing market is getting ready to collapse. People are starting to refuse to pay. They're just starting to refuse to pay their bills. Where the hell is my coffee? There we go. Yeah, people are just starting to refuse to pay their bills in Canada. But the United States is coming in low, right? Our inflation is subsiding. If they can continue to have gas keep coming down, this is going to be what up? Dub, come up in the house. Puffy, how you doing? Talking about inflation. Inflation just came in. Inflation just came in low. This is a good sign. Stocks are rallying. We're going to look at stocks here in a little while, and we're going to talk about Canada. We're going to talk about what's happening in the Canadian housing market. Because it seems there's a whole bunch of people that are just refusing to pay. They're saying, no, we're not going to do that. I've also heard some rumors about them trying to make people pay back the stimulus. Canada trying to make people pay back the stimulus. So I want to take a look at that. Because that's crazy. Could you imagine if they gave you $2,000 a month during the pandemic, through the whole pandemic, and then at the end said, oh, well, we need that back. Making people pay back money. That's what I heard. I don't think that's going to go through. Return or oh, here we go right here. Let me stream this. Watch this. I can do an internet interview with you. We might be able to do that sometime for your channel, Puffy. We could probably do that. Let's see. Bam. Let's go here. Okay, COVID-19 benefits from the CRA. I have not read this yet, so you're reading it with me. I have not read this yet. I don't know what's on it. Okay. The CRA administered COVID-19 benefits to provide temporary income support for individuals between March 15th of 2020 and May 7th of 2022, so 2 years. Review each benefit's eligibility for criteria and application periods to validate your application or to find out how to repay your benefit overpayments. They're making them pay this stuff back. I don't know. Colorado Emergency Response Benefit. Last day to apply was December 2020. That says it's closed. So this is how you apply. How do you pay it back? I want to know if they're really trying to make these people pay that shit back. That's crazy. Nobody's going to pay that shit. The whole country owes you like 40 grand or something like that. Nobody's going to pay that. That's nuts. So let's go over here to Kevin. Let's see. Boom. And talk about CPI. See if we can get good audio out of this.
All right, here we go. About 10 seconds away. I'm
Can
going
you
to
guys
read
hear
off
it?
the month-over-month data first, which we're expecting
Give me
to be
a thumbs up
0.6.
so you can hear it.
And here it comes. Month-over-month. 0.4! Let's go! Holy shit! Year-over-year, 7.7. I was right. It comes in low. Oh, my God. I fucking nailed it. Oh, that's so good. Yes. Oh, good. Oh, my gosh. Sorry. That is so freaking good. We got to get that report up. That is, oh, my gosh. That's really, really good. Finally, basically all of the bank expectations were wrong. They were all high.
He's talking about expectations for inflation right now, because what they do is banks all get together, a bunch of smart people in the banks all get together, and they put together a number. And they say, this is what inflation's going to be. Here's our investments here's our estimates for inflation. And then they put that number up. Well, the number they put up for month over month means from 1 month to the next was 0.6. right? Which if you times that by 12, you get what, 7.2 or 7.4 or something like that. 0.6 times 10 is going to be 6 even, times 2 more is going to be 7.2. So that's 7.2% inflation through the whole year, right? So year over year, 7.2% inflation. Month over month, it's 0.4. The estimates were that it was going to come in at 0.6, which is actually 50% higher, right? And that year over year inflation was going to come in at 8. So everything is coming in lower. So all the stocks, everything's rallying. Commodities, gold, everything's rallying. I'm hoping I picked the bottom of the market about 3 weeks ago. I jumped in about 3 weeks ago again. So let's see what Kevin's talking about.
Yeah, wow. This is incredible. Let's go ahead, and I just want to get the CPI report up, and then we're going to go through some of the details here. But this, again, headline here is great. Headline is year over year 7.7. That's below the 7.9 survey. The 0.6 CPI month over month comes in at 0.4. Core month over month comes in at 0.3. This is great. Finally, a cooling, a relaxation. I want to see how Treasury yields are moving on this. Treasury yields down like 16 basis points. That's not a surprise to me. I was expecting Treasuries to plummet. If we had a
Treasuries are what they consider like bonds. I'm sure everybody knows what like savings bonds are, but they're on a grand scale, right? And they're directly correlated with how, like, if the stock market does good, people want to run into the stock market and put their money in the stock market. So the demand for treasuries goes down. So bonds are for safe and secure. You just get a couple, like 2 percentage points. You know what I mean? You don't get a lot, but they're safe. They're American savings bonds, and so they're safe, right? Well, now savings bonds are collapsing because people are selling their bonds and going back into the stock market. That's what he's talking about now.
Soft report today that is Treasury yields to plummet, so the bond market actually rallies on this. Wow. That is incredible. Okay, looking at what some of the suits are saying here. So gold is up 1.1%. Good news at last. Core pace of inflation down notably on a monthly basis. Core, okay, we talked about the estimates. All right, good. Let's go to the actual report. Wow, this is incredible. So, wow. Okay, that's crazy. Here it is, folks. Look at that, 0.4%. I swear I didn't see the report before. This is crazy. Like, that's so crazy. Index for shelter contributed over half of the monthly increase. Yeah. So this is the sticky one that's left, folks. I mean, this is so good because this is really telling us that inflation's like, if we can reiterate this in December, Jerome Powell can just take the stick out of his butt. Like, seriously. Okay, with the indices for gasoline and food also increasing, the energy index increased 1.8% over the month as the gasoline and electricity index rose, but natural gas index decreased. The food index increased 0.6% with food at
So basically all he's talking about right now, the big takeoff out of everything that he said right there is half of the inflation has to do with shelter. So inflation's at 7.4, 7.7. I think he said 7.7. Maybe I got that one wrong. It's at 7.7, and excuse me. Half of that is literally just inflation from people's rent still going up. Rent is a lagging indicator, what we call a lagging indicator, which means it takes longer. Which means if the price of houses goes up, the price of rent follows it by 9 to 12 months before it actually ramps up. So because a year ago houses were so expensive, rents are still rising. And that accounts for half of the inflation that we're seeing. Half of the extra money that we're putting out of our pockets right now is just coming from being able to live, having somewhere to be able to live. That's what he's talking about. So now we're going to go over, let's see, we're going to look at some of these. ABC News Live from Twitter. Consumer prices are up 7.7% over the year ending in October, but that's a significant drop from the 8.2% inflation rate a month prior and below 8.8% for the first time since February. Still a really high number, but at least we're moving in the right direction. Okay, here we go. Holger Japitz. I don't know how to say that. German, maybe? We got any Germans in the audience? With a Z? I don't know. Japitz. Holger Japitz. U.S. inflation cools in October. Overall inflation as measured by CPI rose 7.7 year over year, way below the 7.9 estimate. Core CPI, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, so if you take out the food and energy prices, increased 6.3% year over year, right? So even if you take out all the food, all the extra money that you're paying for food, and all the extra money that you're paying for energy, you're still getting hit over the head. That's what they're telling you. It's still 6.3% because you're still getting hit over the head with shelter costs. Shelter costs and just everything else. Every business in the world raising their prices. So, it's because of the election? What do you mean by that, Doug? Explain. Get business cards? You're trying to get business cards? You need some business cards? I can get you some business cards. I don't make the business cards. I can design business cards. I'm pretty good at that. Let's see. So now we're going to go over to Canada because there's funny stuff going on in Canada. Check this out. I don't know all the specifics of it, but basically there's a bunch of people in Canada that are saying they're not going to pay their bills. So let's see what Kevin's got talking about that.
Everywhere. See, people wonder, why is it that crypto collapsing affects stocks? Well, it's not just those two. It's also bond values collapsing, pension funds nearly collapsing in the United Kingdom, and now this. Look at this notice that was on the homepage of the terminal, okay, for this company. They do real estate.
When he says the terminal, he's talking about the Bloomberg terminal.
Bonds, okay, like mortgages. So basically, they're a fund, and what they do is they say, hey, basically, hey, you invest money into us, give us, I don't know, $50,000 or whatever, and we'll go use that to go buy mortgage-backed securities. Mortgage-backed securities are basically bonds that are backed by little IOUs from individual investors, so or homeowners. So if you have like these 4 homeowners here, let's just say, and I'm greatly simplifying this, obviously, and each of these homes is worth $500,000 of loan value, let's say, then this is a $2 million pie right here. And then if you have 40 of these $50,000 people, you just slice this up into 40 little slices, right? And then now you have mortgage-backed securities, and maybe each of these is yielding, I don't know, when these mortgages were made, maybe they were yielding 4%. And now the value of these mortgages has plummeted, the underlying value of them, because the Canadian real estate market is starting to collapse. In fact, the New York Times was suggesting that Canadian real estate values between 2 months, which was like a terrible drop. I was just reading about this too, which is crazy. So here's an Ontario real estate market update. And in Canada, they say prices for single-family homes in Toronto, which is in Ontario, fell by 16.4% between February and August. Look at this right here. New York Times. Look at that. Prices for single-family homes fell by 16.4% between February and the end of August. That's 6 months. That's an annualized rate of a 32% decline. So like by next year at this time, real estate in Canada could be down by over 30%. That's remarkable. So when real estate falls like that, then the underlying value of these homes is less, which means the security part of mortgage-backed security is actually less. Therefore, the value of the bond goes down. The yield to new investors, the interest rate goes up, but the value goes down, which is a problem because anybody who's invested in this is like, hey, I want some money to go buy some stocks that are on sale. And then the company's like, yeah, the value's gone down a lot of these. And then people are like, I don't care, give me the money anyway. And they're like, okay, here you go. Well, now it's gotten so bad that this company that has like, I think $100 million AUM or whatever, hey, Househack maybe will have as much as them soon. No, we're sitting pretty with Househack. We're doing really well because we're just sitting on cash. Just gonna sit on our hands and wait for all this drama to unfold in the real estate market. So yeah, I'm probably a little bit biased when I see stuff like this, where it's like, sucks for them, good for us. But anyway, listen to this. The dislocations created in the North American real estate markets and the volatile economy are so bad that they had to institute this thing called a runoff pool to basically, like, in small increments, give money to investors who are demanding immediate liquidity. But the problem is the fund is like, but this is like the time maybe to buy some of these mortgage-backed securities or sit on cash to be ready to buy some of these. And so we want to make sure we have adequate resources to be able to go chase the opportunities we have. And so this company is like, okay, well, let's just give fewer redemptions to people and kind of make people wait their turn. Well, apparently, that did not help solve the problem. And here we are. This letter was just published in Bloomberg today, which is the 9th. I don't know if this just sort of like was leaked or whatever, but the letter is apparently dated yesterday. Who knows? Maybe they sent it at like 11:59 p.m. yesterday. But anyway, look at what's happened now. It was anticipated that a reduction in redemption demand to manageable levels would provide some leeway, allowing the company to navigate through these market disruptions. So in English,
as you can see here at the end, I'm going to speed this up. It says the runoff pool did not dampen the redemption. So the whatchamacall that they designed to make it happen, to make things right, didn't work, right? Blue wave, high rate, no wave, middle ground rate. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. The Fed is supposed to act independently. The Fed is supposed to act independently of them, and the Fed, the Fed leader Jerome Powell is actually a Republican. They don't talk about it a whole lot, but the dude is actually a Republican. So I get it. It does seem that way in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Is whenever the Democrats get in power, stuff gets a lot more expensive, things like that. So I do understand what you're saying. But anyway, so yeah, they are. From what it looks like, they are actually trying to take some of the money back from the people in Canada. Canadian Jail War Story said that too. He had mentioned it too, that they were trying to come back for people's money. So that's cracking. Honestly, our economy, if everybody, we have this idea that everything is shit and da-da-da-da-da, but on the grand scheme of things, as far as the world is concerned, we're actually doing a lot better than the rest of the world. Europe is just trying to figure out how to heat itself. I mean, they've basically got enough to heat themselves, but they've put their whole situation back like a decade, because now they're going to go burn. They're going to spend a whole winter burning a bunch of coal and wood and spewing carbon into the air, and this is what they were trying to avoid in the first place. So they're just in a mad dash to try to figure out what's going to happen with that. China's real estate market is collapsing because they've been lying. They've been lying for 20 years. Consistent lies have put them out on the edge of this cliff, and now the cliff is starting to crumble. And so China has their own problems. Obviously, Russia is entangled with Ukraine at the current time. They don't have a lot of ability to focus elsewhere. And so this leaves us. Our economy is starting back to life. It's kind of trying to start back to life. There's also massive layoffs going on. If anybody's noticed that, I don't know if anybody works in the tech sector, but the layoffs are starting to hit the tech sector. Facebook's in trouble. I know that. Let's look up some of these layoffs. Let's see. Facebook parent Meta begins mass layoffs of 11,000 workers. That's from MarketWatch. Leaked video. New York Times, Meta lays off more than 11,000 employees. Meta stock climbs as the Facebook parent reportedly joins Twitter and other tech giants. Let's see. So it's not just Zuckerberg. it's not just Facebook who's it's not just Facebook who's doing it. Yeah, but this is what I don't understand though, is like everybody I know during COVID, and I don't know about yours. I know everybody's situation is different and da 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 da. I get that, but from what I could tell, they gave people a whole lot of money to try to like figure themselves out, and I don't know what to say because they can't keep that money up eventually. They can't just keep giving people more and more and more money. There has to be a point whenever they stop it. And some of these people were getting massive amounts of money. One of my homeboy's a drug dealer. He's a drug dealer with like 10 kids, and they gave that fool so much goddamn money, and he didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing positive with it. Nothing positive with it. Well, the business owners, you should have been able to take out a large PPP loan, right? I think. I know not everybody got in there, but I think you were allowed to take out a huge loan that got forgiven if you owned a business. If you owned a business that you at least expected to make money over the next year, like it was possible that maybe it made money. You couldn't just have a business that was like failing and then be like, oh yeah, give me a bunch of money. But that's my understanding of it. But I also know that people fall through the cracks. There's individuals that fall through the cracks. It's the government. It doesn't always work properly. It doesn't always work effectively. And I do understand that sometimes people fall through the cracks. But massive layoffs just happened at Tesla. Massive layoffs at Google. Let's see. Meta lays off 13% of workforce. This is from Mondo.com. 13% of workforce. Twitter lays off 50% of workforce. Zillow lays off 5% of workforce. We've seen that coming. Peloton lays off 12% of workforce. Right? Why are there so many layoffs in 2022? Let's see. This is from CNBC. Meta cut 11,000 jobs Wednesday in its biggest tech layoff of 2022. The tech industry has been a string of layoffs this year in the face of uncertain economic conditions. Layoffs as the digital advertisers are cutting back on spending and rising inflation curbs spending. Right? I know a woman who just got laid off too. She's in the tech center and she just got laid off. Let's see. We lost our home. No, COVID took our credit, and that was our excuse. Our credit was bad. Oh, they wouldn't give you the PPP because your credit was bad? I could see that. Somebody says diesel prices are only going to continue to go up. I keep hearing that, but let's find out. You know, that's one of those things. They keep saying it and saying it and saying it. And every time that they say something, just like they said that there was going to be a red wave, you know how every channel you turned on said there was going to be a red wave? Whenever they say these things, I tend not to listen to them, because they did that with Trump. They said Trump would never win, and he won. And it's kind of like a thing it's kind of like time after time after time. It seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but every time I turn on the TV, if I turn on the TV and every single channel is trying to convince me of something, it makes me believe that I'm being lied to. Now, that's possible that's just me. I don't know. Let's see. Fox News. Now, this is obviously Fox News. So, gas prices to remain high post-midterms. Okay, gas and diesel prices will remain elevated regardless of the results. No matter tonight's election results, gas prices will remain above average. No. What the fuck is that? Okay, which was released it will still be below the record of $5 per gallon, which was reached in early June. The elevated gas prices have been a hurdle for the Biden administration ahead of the midterm election, but analysts have urged that there are many factors weighing on pump prices, including Russia and Ukraine, decision by OPEC to sharply cut production by 2 million barrels per day starting in November. Gas prices rise and hit $3.91 a gallon. How is it where you guys are? It's actually pretty low here right now. It's like $3.20. Nice. Some of the cheapest gas. That's why I feel we have no red. Yeah. Colorado does have some of the cheapest gas. That certainly helps. It certainly helps me not hate the governor as much. Our governor is a gay man. who I feel has actually done a very, very good job. Whenever the pandemic shut down, he didn't lock everything down all crazy, or he said he did. He said he locked things down on paper, but they didn't actually like enforce anything. They didn't harass anybody. Even whenever there's a curfew, they didn't go harass people. And if they did go find somebody like out in the street, they were trying to give them help. They were trying to get people off the street and into shelters and stuff like that. So I feel like Governor Jared Polis, despite the fact he's a Democrat and everything else, I feel like he did a good job. And I have a feeling that most of the state feels like he did a good job because we didn't get our economy didn't get destroyed. Colorado's economy didn't get destroyed. It's doing okay. The restaurants are being destroyed. I will give you that. Independent restaurants are getting beat over the head. You know, the ones that are actually doing really well, though, is like the Mexican restaurants, the ones where immigrants work, because those immigrants, they want to go back to work. You know what I mean? Like the Mexican restaurants are popping. You go into a Mexican restaurant, there's waitresses running around and they're calling out orders and da-da-da-da-da-da. You go into like a normal restaurant, you know what I mean? Like, or I shouldn't say normal, but you go into like an Italian restaurant or something like that. It's like the owner and his daughter's waiting the table and they got their cousin in the back washing dishes and cooking at the same time. I mean, it's just the labor is horrible. Diesel is cheaper than gasoline to produce. I believe that because I think diesel doesn't have to be as refined. I believe. I'm not an expert on that. It's the biggest scam. That's where I need to move here. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap. The cost of living ain't though. The cost of living is nuts out here. It's ridiculous. But the actual energy itself is something. But also because of the cost of living is high out here, they've raised the prices on everything. Like everywhere you go. If you go to lunch in the city of Denver proper, for one thing, there's a Denver city tax on anything you do in the city of Denver. They charge a couple extra little percent just for doing things in the city of Denver, doing commerce. And they chunk another 20% on the back end of the bill just to say, oh, because inflation's hard. So they just add 20% to the back of the bill, right? So it costs you through the nose to even like go out to eat or something like that. It's crazy. But so it is good out here if you don't. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of eating out anyway. I've worked in restaurants for so long. It's like, you know what I mean? I can cook better than them most of the time. And then half the time you go out and I'll pay like $50 or $60 for a plate. And I get my plate and I'm like, man, I could have made this better. This ain't even good. Last time I got a steak, that shit was salty as hell, dog. I was not happy about it. We went to, me and the homegirl, Angelica, actually went to, what's it called? The place where the Japanese place where they do all they've got the little train and they chop all the food up in front of you and then they serve Benihana's. We went to Benihana's. The service was so goddamn bad. And our dude didn't even speak English. He didn't do none of the tricks. He was just a Mexican dude. I mean, that's cool. I don't give a shit. But he didn't do none of the tricks. He didn't talk to us. He didn't bullshit with us. The food was wrong. You know what I mean? He was giving out the wrong food. It was just bad, man. We ended up getting it for free, but the steak was salty as shit. It was just like eating some. It was bullshit. Okay. This is true, sir. The world, absolutely. Bigfoot in the house. If anybody wants to jump up and bullshit, if not, I'm gonna end it pretty soon. This was just a quick one. I just wanted to talk about this while it's still trending. Oh, Canada, man. Canada's doing a number on their people. I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to nationalize their country. They need to get Trudeau out of there. They need to get somebody else in there, dude. I'll tell you this. I asked Canadian Jail War Stories about some of the political stuff, like the trucker convoy in Ottawa and the different things that had been going on. I asked him who Jordan Peterson was. He didn't know who Jordan Peterson was. Jordan Peterson had the number one selling book of like 2021 and parts of 2022. And he came from Canada. He's a national hero from Canada. But he speaks out against the government and the government's authoritarian nature and things like this. And so I believe they're hiding them. How does somebody in Canada not know about the Ottawa trucker thing? We covered it here like day after day after day. You got all the updates and, oh, this is going on and they're freezing their money and they're doing this and they're taking gas from them and all this good stuff. And the person in Canada didn't know it was happening. I don't know. Seems sketch to me. But anyway, that's what I got for this morning, my friends. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I just wanted to do a quick one and talk about this. I appreciate everybody. I'm sure I'll see everybody again before the end of the day. Signing off.